Welcome back. You met one of my real cats in an earlier video, and now another one of our real cats. We only have two. This one's Midnight, is sitting on my desk and doesn't want to get down. So I'm going to throw her down, and we'll see if she jumps back up here like she does sometimes. Well, I'm not going to throw her. We're going to set her down. Go on, kitten. Okay.
Now that furball's out of here, you gonna let me do some teaching today?
Well, I wasn't really planning on it, Stat. We got to start with some review materials. So, we could talk about that.
Yeah, let me do the review.
Well, let me explain the review, then maybe you can do it.
Okay.
What we're doing today, we're going to go through a review of how we got here, look at the problems, the examples, the single simulation, our single trial simulation, the mini trial simulations. We'll check in how you're doing on that trivial training problem. And then we'll move to the actual statistical part.
Yay! Stat the cat!
Well, we'll see. Okay, so let's run through these.
My turn.
Fine, your turn.
Problem 2-2. We did a single trial with a uniform sale price distribution and a normal sale price distribution. These both work. You hit F9, you get new results. Then we went to the mini trials. Here's the uniform, and there's 1,000 trials. Each of these lines represents one possible simulation of the auction. And here's the same thing with a normal distribution for the actual sale price. The second problem we looked at was leasing or buying a car. And we had, again, the single trial. And we looked at it two ways. Are you going to keep the car no matter what? Lease it, then buy it, versus buying it and keeping it? Or are you going to get rid of it? Lease it, give it back, or buy it and sell it? And those were a little bit different models. So that's the single trial model for both of those. And for the multi-trial model, I changed it.
You changed it?
Yeah, I changed it so that there's one for planning to keep it. So I changed the single trial, and over here, you'll find 500 trials of possible outcomes. And if I'm going to get rid of it, same thing. Change the single trial model, and over here are the results.
Oops.
Then we looked at the real estate problem. I like this problem because it's got lots of formulas.
You really like lots of formulas?
Lots of formulas.
Okay.
So here's the single trial. We did a static best worst case. That wasn't that interesting.
Well, I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, the students didn't think it was interesting.
I think the students thought it was interesting too.
So here's the single trial. What might happen next year if we wait to sell the commercial real estate. And then here, we click. Is the mini trials. And we did 868. Why did you do 868 instead of 1,000 or 500?
I just wanted to show students that 1,000 isn't a magic number. You know, many trials is many trials.
I think it's kind of silly.
Well, that's fine for you.
Then we went to the facility shipping docks problem. And this one was kind of cool because the single trial model actually has a whole bunch of simulation, and I like that.
Well, I see why you would like that, Stat, but that actually does make the problem a little harder. to distinguish what's the unit of your single simulation. The simulation here isn't a day. The simulation here is an actual year. So the simulation says what's the total charges that boats wait to get loaded, the demurrage charge, and what's the maximum number of boats waiting. But it is kind of a cool problem.
Yeah, I like it. And then we did mini trials. So over here in the mini trials, there's 500 of them. Each of those represents an entire year, and each year has 365 days simulated. So that's a cool problem.
It is a cool problem. You're right about that. And then the last problem we want to look at...
Now let me say it.
Can I talk? It's my class.
Okay, it's your turn. I'll be quiet for a little while, but I'll watch.
The trivial training problem that I threw out at you. At the beginning. I haven't shown you a full solution for this one yet because you're supposed to be working on this alongside, outside of the watching the videos.
Doesn't look that hard.
It's not that easy, Stat. Remember, we have to randomly simulate units sold and sale price based on this input information. Then you have to compute the cost of goods sold, the contribution margin, the fixed cost, the profit loss. If you didn't remember how to do that, you can go back to the Chapter 2 examples and hopefully find that. Another option, if you're not sure if it's working, you got to be careful about this because you'd lose your work here, but you could just force in 8,000 units sold at a sale price of $25, and then look and see if down here you're getting the same numbers that I'm getting. Because if you're getting the same numbers I'm getting, you've probably got it right. Now what I just did is I wiped out my simulation, so be very careful. I didn't save anything. You want to go over here to the undo.
I like undo.
Undo is one of the best features of Excel. Undo that to put your random results back in there. Otherwise you could really kind of have a mess. So that's what your single trial model should look like. Obviously, your multiple trial model won't have necessarily the same numbers that I have because it's simulated, but you should have whatever you chose to do. I did 960.
Another weird number.
Hey, I just did what I did, 960. Oops. And now I've got the multi-trial. And we will look at this one later. Although again, I won't show you step by step on this one. We'll look at this one later so you can kind of keep track and see how it's going. You may notice, I'm going to actually let you know when I hit F9. Ready? I just hit F9. Watch how long it takes for this to recalculate.
We're waiting.
It's taking a while. Why is it doing that? Because I have lots of files open. That have lots of simulation going on in them. You're going to have to be careful with your own computers because I've probably got a lot more memory than most of you. And anytime I do anything in any one of these spreadsheets that forces a recalculation, it recalculates all the simulations, all the randoms in all of them. I believe, what's one I don't have showing up there yet? There we go. I've got 5 of these open at one time. Remember, one way to slow down the recalculation...
Let me tell him.
I'll tell him. I can talk faster than you.
That's the problem. You talk too fast.
I won't talk too fast on this. Remember, we go into here, go into the options, formulas, and I've got mine set for recalc automatically except for data tables, which is why it's requiring me to hit the F9. You can make it manual for everything. That will make your computer run faster, but as we learn, that causes other problems. But if yours is on automatic, certainly go to this. And even with that setting, you may need to kind of have 1 or 2 files open at a time as we get through more parts of the calculation. Because once we start doing statistical calculations over here, everything we do is going to trigger a recalculation. and it's going to re-trigger a calculation for every file you have open. And if you have 500 or 1,000 trials, and those trials have multiple random things in them, your computer is going to really start slowing down. So, get the stat ready files.
Stat ready. They're named after me.
No, you're named after stats. Statistics is not named after you.
Oh, okay. If that's the way it is.
Get the stat ready files downloaded from Schoology. Look over them with this video to make sure you understand what's going on. See how you're doing on that trivial training example. Then go ahead and go on to the next video where we're going to actually start.
Let me say, start doing statistics.
Yes, start doing statistics. Although, again, you may want to have one file open at a time while we're doing the statistics so that your computer doesn't get bogged down.